Bloom syndrome is a extremely rare genetic disorder.
It's considered an orphan disease and probably the most orphan of all orphan diseases because we just don't have that many people that have been diagnosed with it. It's in the neighborhood of 250 or so.
So Bloom syndrome is a genetic disorder that is caused by two mutations in a gene called BLM. And this gene, BLM, encodes a protein called Bloom, and that protein is involved in DNA repair processes. So what happens is if you have two mutations in this gene, your body's cells can't repair DNA errors that can occur during our natural cell cycle. And so these patients are highly prone to developing lots of different types of cancers.
Effects of the disease, it can be, main ones include short stature, smaller facial features.
It affects my height and it affects my DNA in different ways. I'm a lot more susceptible to getting sick and getting different cancers.
Our skin is very sensitive to the sun, and it's so rare, not, a lot of research on it, even still today.
When we first had Alexia, we could see she was small stature, and we didn't know what was going on, honestly. Talking to the doctors that we did and self-diagnosis and using the internet was kind of scary.
She was actually misdiagnosed with a different blood disorder, and then they came back about a month later and said, yeah, it's the Bloom syndrome. But eventually we saw a geneticist, and he mentioned the life expectancy and the cancers, and our life was turned upside down.
The most difficult thing was trying to figure out what we could do. Understanding it was one thing. Knowing exactly what to do was the other.
So the Bloom Syndrome Association was formed by my husband and me after attending a 2008 conference in Chicago about Bloom syndrome. It was at that conference that we first met other people with Bloom syndrome. And so we realized how isolated that we were, that we didn't really know anybody, and that there weren't really any resources for people. And so we decided to create the Bloom Syndrome Association, create a website for it as a way to bring people together and provide information about Bloom syndrome to those people.
Well, the mission of the BSA is to educate, advocate, and stimulate research and provide a safe environment for people to talk about Bloom syndrome and understand it better.
By meeting other people who had been through it and hearing from them their stories, which were similar to ours, and seeing older young adults and adults with Bloom syndrome who were obviously thriving was, ended that hard stage for us. I mean, that was like an existence proof.
When I first reached out, they were extremely helpful. It was almost like an info dump. They were like, okay, this is everything that we have and we're giving it to you. It was very uplifting to see people who were just like us, and then to see all these adult thriving bloomies.
I think that the Bloom Syndrome Association is extremely important. For me, it's been best for support and connecting with other people that have blooms, so I can see what they're going through, what they've been through, and we can help each other and encourage each other mostly.
The intention of the Bloom Syndrome Association was to create a place where people could connect with each other and have information that they could provide to their healthcare providers to become more informed about what Bloom syndrome was, just to create a community. Over time, that has evolved into that, plus having more of a research focus.
So the BSA is critical, especially in such a rare disorder like Bloom syndrome. So it not only brings together patients and families, but it also engages clinicians and researchers into one large community.
There's a lot of information in the community that's not necessarily been captured by the medical community, and so that communication is better perfected by having an association like this.
We've pretty much been tripling the amount of people and the amount of outreach that we've had every couple years or every quote-unquote conference. Just in the last 10 years, we've gone from a group of 20, 30 people to over 400, 500 people across the globe.
Another thing that I think about is awareness. Getting the awareness out there. Like, we know there's so many people worldwide that have it, but how many children go undiagnosed?
You know, I try not to let Bloom syndrome define who I am. I just try to do the best that I can to, you know, stay up on what I need to and take care of my body.
Because it just kind of shows that, you know, if do everything correctly and, you know, you're just kind of going about your daily lives while still completing what you need to do for Blooms, you know, you can, you know, still be here.
Over time, I think that we have learned more about it, and we've of course learned more about, you know, who our son is, and we love him just the way he is. You know, I wouldn't change a thing.